Hi, my name is Dilano, the Postman Taylor, and I train at Cliff FC.
The Postman is delivering!
Yes,
PFL Championships, you're in the finals. What an incredible journey, what an incredible story. You're going for $1 million. What better place than New York City to go for the $1 million prize and the championship? What has this been like? What has the last few months been like for you and just getting ready for this huge fight that you have coming up?
Man, the last few months for me has been non-stop. I've just been trusting the process, haven't been out of the gym since, and just been preparing for any opportunity to come my way, you know? So it's just been busy, hectic, very fast-paced, but very grateful to be in the position that I'm in.
Grateful to be in the position you're in. Has this been the most busy you've been in your fight career so far?
Actually, no. When I was in Titan FC, that was also one of the most busy that I was in my fight career because I fought like 5 fights in 6 months. PFL, at least I have a little bit more time in between. And but the only difference is I didn't know who I was gonna fight. I took more fights on days' notice than in Titan FC, and in Titan FC I actually had time to prepare for people that I was gonna fight. This time I didn't have any time. And I feel like now that I have the opportunity to prepare for someone, people can actually see what I can do when I prepare for someone versus when I have to fight them on short notice.
We talk about Titan FC, and that is a really great promotion.
Sure.
And they've been doing a lot of fights down here in South Florida as well. What can you say about Titan FC and how that has helped you develop as a fighter?
Titan FC is, what I can say about Titan FC is that I think they're a really good regional promotion to start off in. You get really good matchups. In South Florida, it's not like an easy scene to fight anybody because almost everybody knows everybody if you're fighting in like this part of Florida, like South Florida. So you've been probably watching these people since you were amateur and you were thinking, oh man, I want to fight that guy, I want to fight that guy. And like, I consider like Florida to be like one of the meccas for MMA because Florida is like one of the places that has like total institutions. Like you can get strength conditioning, you can get like fight training all in the same place, you can get recovery in the same place. So it makes it a super commodity. Like it's very rare. Like I've gone to other places and I have not seen anything, especially like Sanford MMA. I mean, Sanford MMA, now known as Cliff FC. So I haven't seen anything like that as of yet anywhere else that I've gone. So this is like very rare to be in. So I think Titan FC has really been the forefront of this part of South Florida, like to really develop, you know.
Also lends itself, as you said, because there are so many great training facilities down here.
Mm-hmm.
With Cliff FC, formerly Sanford MMA, being a one-stop shop,
Yeah.
which is a leader of the facilities in that regard, but you have so many fighters down in this area that are training here from all over the world. Lends itself to having Titan FC be able to bring in these fighters easily because the access is so close. We're in South Florida, all these training centers are in South Florida, like Cliff FC and all. What do you think about making that transition from Titan FC and then getting into PFL? And how did that happen for you to get the opportunity with PFL?
I think the transition from Titan FC to PFL for me wasn't as drastic as I thought it was going to be, considering that I started on the Challenger Series, which was like contender-ish. So I fought a guy who had similar record as me, like probably actually the exact same record as me, and we're both, you know, trying to come up in, you know, bigger organizations. So it was more like seeing somebody of my caliber fighting for like a third title almost. Like I already defended the belt. I have 2 belts for Titan FC, so it was almost like fighting for a third title, if that made sense. So going into PFL after I got my feet wet in the Challenger Series, going into PFL wasn't as overwhelming. It was okay. This is another body. Not to mention I train with killers every day, so it's not like I'm fighting records. I'm fighting the person. They're fighting me. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm training with Jason Jackson. I'm training with Gilbert Burns. You know, I'm training with Impa Kasanganai and Phil Hawes, and I see these guys. And I'm like, okay, cool. What can these guys do to me that's gonna drastically scare me? You know, I train with these guys on a regular basis. Like I'm not like a part-time fighter. I train every day. So it's not something that was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm here. You know, I see these guys every day.
It's more like status quo.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
this fighter, I trained with all the best fighters around, and now I got to go against this guy. No disrespect, but
Bro,
I'm not going to get nervous about that.
That they haven't done to me already, you know. Yeah.
It's such a unique place here, and you mentioned these fighters. What has it been like for you when you first, though, started here? Was that a little overwhelming at first, or no? Just because so many great fighters were here. Now you're used to it. You're part of it.
Yeah, when I first started here, the gym was called Hard Knocks. And
a little bit further south in Fort Lauderdale, commercial, yes.
So when I first started training here, the gym was called Hard Knocks, and when I first got here, it was definitely a bit overwhelming because I would see stars. I would see like all the champs. I saw Kamaru Usman. I trained with them for a little bit. Gilbert Burns, Jason Jackson. I trained with these guys, and I was like, oh snap! Like, I'm like a really small fish in a really big pond. Like, these are sharks. Like, and at first it was like, man, I don't know if I can do this, man. Like, I'm getting beat up every day. I'm going home really disappointed, like thinking I was actually really good, and then, you know, just keep coming, keep getting beat up, and then after a while you're like, okay, I'm getting a rhythm. It's starting to make sense. I'm getting the wheels rolling, you know. And then after a while you're like, wow, okay, I can actually hang with these guys. And then it becomes like, okay, I understand now. I see it. I feel it. Like, I don't feel drastically overwhelmed anymore. Now it's just whelmed.
What do you think of the difference between Hard Knocks 365 and that sweat box compared to where we are now in Deerfield Beach at Killcliff FC, formerly Sanford MMA?
The Hard Knocks sweat box, I liked it a little better. It was grungy. It was like
it was grungy.
It was grungy. Yeah, it was grungy. It was like
it was a fighter's fight.
It was a fight. Like you move 2 steps, you're bumping into somebody. So it was like.
Now this is almost like a upper class country club.
I can literally bounce around and circle. Like I can circle around for 5 minutes and not get hit. But over there, it's like I gotta be in the pocket and survive almost. Like especially like when the garage doors are open and you got the sun coming in and you can't see and it's just hot and you're just sweating. You're like, oh man, what round is this, coach? It's only the 3rd round. Damn, got 7 more rounds to go. All right, let's go, you know? But here it's like, okay, I can take more time, I can move, I can see things a little better. I mean, what I think too is that colors really affect a fighter's mind too. Like when it was Sanford MMA and everything was all white, everybody was like, I'm too nice to get hit. Now that the colors are darker, everybody's getting grittier. Everybody's getting really in there. Like everybody's in the pocket again. It's different. Like it gets really sweaty on the floors, so you really can't move as much. If you move, you're gonna slip and fall, and then they're gonna just tap you. You know, like fight. You know. So I think,
aesthetics.
Yeah, the aesthetics really changes like the mindset of everything. Like it really makes you a dog. You know, and I think that's also like something that can be attributed to Killcliff FC right now.
And we talked a little bit, but one-stop shop, I mean, not only the training, the excellent coaching, Greg Jones, Henry Hoof, and more. Yeah. And then you have the rehab facility here and conditioning facility here. So you don't have to go other places. Oh, now I got to do this at 12. I got to go down to Miami at 2, and I got to do this. And
take a nap and then go train, yeah.
How did you get the nickname Postman?
Okay, so I got the nickname the Postman because...
Were you working for the postal company? That's what I wanted to know.
Everybody always asks that. No, I wasn't working for the postal company, no. So I got the nickname the Postman because I feel like that there's a lot of power in the name. And I wanted to come up with a name for myself before giving anybody else the opportunity to come up with a name for me. That's 1. 2, I wanted to come up with a name that would actually define the things that I want to do. Like, I came up with the Postman because I wanted to deliver a message to people that they can do whatever they want and be whoever they want to be under any circumstances, you know? I came up with the name during like a really rough time in my life, like when I was going to stop actually fighting. And like it helped me develop myself mentally to where like it was tough times don't last, tough people do. So it really made me want to deliver that message to people. Not to mention, it's like a double entendre play on words. I'm gonna deliver the fade. I'm gonna deliver a fight. Win, lose, or draw. Like you're gonna remember my name. You're gonna remember the guy that you had to stand in front of across the cage from. You know, like we shared the cage, and you're gonna remember me. Like you're not gonna forget me. And next time you see me, you're not gonna have like the best. Like if you won, you're not gonna have the best coming after that.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because when we're going through adversity and tough times, what can spark sort of a change to overcome that? Yeah. And for you, it was even a simple thing is just, you know what, I need a nickname for me, but I need to have it mean something. Yeah. And what am I going to do now? And all of a sudden, like, is this going to be it for me? No, I'm going to be the Postman and I'm going to deliver. Deliver the fight and I'm going to deliver the message, which you said is very strong and very powerful and all.
And I feel like with names, right, we're always who we are supposed to be. And with a name, you just kind of manifest that into somebody else for a moment, but you're always that person. That makes sense.
It is, because that's how important that name is.
Yeah.
You could have a really cool name, but if it doesn't fit the fighter,
Yeah.
why bother having that cool name?
Exactly. Like, for instance, somebody once said, like, the reason why they like Superman versus a guy like Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man became Spider-Man. Like, he put the suit on, he became Spider-Man. Superman became to Earth, Superman. And his persona was Clark Kent. I'm always the Postman, and my persona is Dilano Taylor. Make sense?
It does, it does, and all. And it's something also that it's instilled in you.
Exactly.
Like Superman, it was already instilled in him.
It was already there.
It was already there, so like that. Interesting with getting into PFL, going through all you've done. The last fight was against Rory MacDonald. And when you look at going into the fight, not as you, outsiders, you put Rory as a favorite just because of what Rory has already done in his career.
Yeah.
You come out, you get a big victory. For you, probably not an upset in your mind, but for others, it was, oh wow, he beat Rory, this is an upset. I'm curious, because Rory did spend some time here. Did you ever get to train with Rory?
I trained with Rory twice when we was here, and both times he beat my ass. I remember the first time I grappled with him, it was here. He subbed me like, I want to say, he subbed me 6 times in 5 minutes. And I remember like asking him like, how do you do that? Like, and I remember leaving here like, yo, do I deserve to fight? Like, do I need to fight? Like, I was like so discouraged. Like, I didn't, like, I took the next day off. Like, how discouraged I was. I had to really like assess, like, you know, do I really deserve to fight? Like, do I really deserve to be here? And then I had to like reassess certain things in my head. Like, maybe I just gave him too much respect. If that makes sense. Like, I put so much.
You were psyching yourself out.
Yeah, I put so much emphasis on his name. Like, oh my God, it's Rory MacDonald. I'm gonna fight Rory MacDonald. It's crazy. That like, it almost like made me think lesser of myself, lesser of my abilities to win, lesser of my abilities to, you know, perform at the highest level. So once I kind of shut that off, it was like, okay, I'm just fighting a man. It wasn't any different. Skill versus skill, I'm gonna win. That makes sense.
How did it feel then after that big victory?
It just felt like a victory, you know. Like, I feel like not to discredit anyone ever, because people work for their accomplishments. People work to get to where they want to be. But I feel like people put so much emphasis on the name that like they forget that like humans are humans. Everybody bleeds the same. Everybody gets hit and bruised the same. You know, like, I never look past anybody. Like, if I had to fight an amateur fighter right now and he put hands on me, I have to accept that because, you know, he's a man and I'm a man and he put hands on me. That's just how it is. Like, I'll go home and I have to reassess that. And then I have to really put in my mind that, like, I'm no better than anybody else. So as long as I keep that in my mind, as long as I stay level-headed, I don't think anybody can beat me.
The mindset works both ways.
Yeah.
For you and for your opponent.
Exactly.
And how you're dealing with that and doing that and all. After you get the big victory, what was going on from family, friends, and everybody else?
Everybody was blowing up. Everybody was like, oh my God, you knocked out Rory MacDonald. And I'm like, damn, I did knock out Rory MacDonald. I'm like, damn, I did knock out Rory MacDonald. And I'm like trying to like assess that in my head, like, wow, I really just knocked out Rory MacDonald. And they're like, oh man, you killed a legend, you slayed a legend. And I'm like, bro. And I wasn't even thinking about it in the aspect of like him being a legend. I just thought about him as like him as being a really good fighter, that I just went out there and just did my job, you know. And like, I feel like everybody was counting me out, everybody was surprised. But
like I said, when you're fighters,
based off of what
you're not thinking like that, and you shouldn't think like that. But everybody else, we're looking at, wow, you know, this guy's good. This guy is good that he's fighting, but gee, Rory's done all this, and you know, he really wants this and all. So you're looking from an outsider, you're doing that game, you're playing that game, you're playing a different game. But then when it's over, it's like, oh man, yeah, I did this.
Exactly.
I did this.
Yeah. So it's just like, all right, cool. It took me like a while to actually assess that, like, that's what I did. Like, it took me a little bit of time, and then when I finally like came to terms with it, I was like, wow, that really just happened. Right.
It was just an incredible moment, and just, again, outsider's perspective. It was just, when you see something like that happen, it's just like, uh-oh, here we go. now this guy's put himself on the map.
Yeah.
Now let's see where it goes from here and all. And for now, where it goes is the finals for the championships. What can you tell me about your opponent? Do you do much studying of your opponent when you're preparing? We don't have to go into game plan because we don't want to do that, but just in the sense of, is that part of what you do when you're getting ready for a fight, or do you more or less take care of yourself and not really look too much at your opponent?
I'm more so, like you said, take care of myself. I like to see like the holes that I have in my game, because in a fight, I more so think about how it would beat me versus how it would beat them. Because I know beating them isn't the hard part. Because like I have to figure out how it would beat me. Like what holes do I have that he sees that he can capitalize on? And if he can capitalize on those holes, then he's probably gonna be able to beat me. But if I work on those holes, I'll be able to see the openings that he has that I can capitalize on a lot easier for me. Maybe I'll watch footage of like his last fight, maybe his last 2 fights, but like I probably won't watch past the first round, because I feel like after the first round you tell me everything I need to see for the most part.
Now that's interesting too, because, and I think of it this way too, you can watch a fighter past 2, 3, 4 fights and they could all be different, because the opponent they're going against too, and they're strategizing as well. So it's not like just you're watching a baseball team and this is the way this pitcher always pitches and here are his pitches. He has a curveball, a slider, fastball. You sort of can, right, in a fight, oh yeah, this guy's a good striker and all, and then all of a sudden he's grappling and doing stuff.
Yeah, so I look for those holes and then I just train my skills as much as possible, because skills pay bills. Skills pay bills.
That is so true. and even want to talk a little more about Rory MacDonald and that fight, because that's such a big thing, and that was just the last fight. Were you able during that time, because you did knock him out and all, but did you see that coming, or was that something that just happened?
That was just something that just happened. Like, realistically speaking, all my fights in PFL I took on a day's notice or 2 days' notice. I had no time to study. When I fought Zeferino, I took him on a day's notice. When I fought Magomed, it was less than a day. It was like 12 hours. And I went out there and fought him. I didn't care. You know, like whatever skills I had at that time, that's what I was going to use. And yeah, I got caught, but it wasn't like he knocked me out. It was just like the ref stopped the fight. I'm like, why'd you stop the fight? Like, I was, whatever. And with Rory, it was like, oh, I had 2 days, cool. Was I gonna study anything on Rory? No, I'm just gonna go out there and fight Rory. Because that was like what should have been done. Like, I'm going out there to fight you. It doesn't matter what game plan you have. If I punch you in the face, are you gonna stick to that game plan, or are you gonna change it up? You know? So.
It's interesting too, because you've done that in the past.
Yeah.
Where you told me that even with Titan FC, you would take fights like this and all. And then that happens with PFL.
Yeah.
A few times.
Yeah. And
so it's almost like prepared you for that.
Yeah, and with Titan FC, it was more so just the same thing. Me preparing skills, my skills, just developing my skills, like focusing on me. I feel like people really underestimate the saying where they say just focus on yourself. Like, mind your business, focus on yourself, and you'll see like your own development. Like, you versus you is like a really serious saying. Like,
especially in this sport.
Yeah, because I've noticed like the times that I've lost fights, I've went out there thinking what my opponent would do to me, as opposed to what I would do to my opponent. That makes sense.
It does. More on the defensive than the offensive.
Yeah, like, oh, how would I defend this? No, I'm going to go out there and punch you in your face, and I'm going to keep punching you consistently, as much as possible, until I win this fight. Like, just focus on myself, just do my work, and then my work will show itself. That's it.
And that lends itself to the confidence you've been able to build from here to be able to have that mindset to do that, because there are a lot of good fighters, that mental game. If you can control that mental game and prepare and do it that way, that lends yourself to another level, putting yourself at another level.
Exactly.
Background for you. Are you a South Florida guy?
Yes, sir.
Were you Miramar, Dania Beach? Where I know it says Dania
Miami.
Beach, but Miami.
Yeah.
So you were born in Miami.
Yeah.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to Stranahan High School
in Fort Lauderdale.
So I went to Norland Elementary.
Vikings. You were a Viking.
Yeah, and then I came to Stranahan.
And became a Dragon.
Became a Dragon. Yeah.
Which is great. A fighter becoming a Dragon. I mean, that lends itself there. Did you play any sports when you were at Norland or Stranahan?
I wrestled. Actually, I wrestled in middle school and I wrestled in high school. I wrestled for 5 years.
Was MMA a path for you, or that just sort of happened?
I didn't even know about MMA until I graduated. I didn't know anything about MMA. I didn't watch a fight. Actually, the first fight I actually saw was, I believe, Roy versus Robbie.
Oh my God, one of the best fights of all
That
time.
was like the
Lawler
first
against
fight.
McDonald.
Yeah, that was like one of the first fights I seen. I think that happened 2015 or 2016.
I don't remember the year, but it was just one of the
Yeah.
classics of all time.
It's one of those years, and I think I graduated in 2015, so it was around that time. I was like, oh, what is this? Like, and then I graduated high school. I was like, yeah, what's next? I want to try something else. So there was a kid on my wrestling team whose grandfather would be like, hey, you guys should come check out this gym, and you know, downtown Fort Lauderdale. It was like American Top Team downtown Fort Lauderdale. I still train over there with Junior Fernandez, and that's my jiu-jitsu coach, and he was saying, hey, you guys should come over here and come try this jiu-jitsu. I was like, what is jiu-jitsu?
With that right, I would say that too. I know wrestling. What is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I go out there and I'm like, okay, oh, so this is what jiu-jitsu is. Okay, get choked out a little bit, and then you start like picking it up slowly, and then I'm like, all right, cool, this isn't so bad. Like,
Did you pick it up right away?
basically, yeah. Wrestling kind of helped, like, it transitioned really fast. The minute I turned off my wrestling brain and tried to learn jiu-jitsu, it was like quick, no hesitation. And I think I had my first fight. My jiu-jitsu coach actually gave me my first fight in like 3 months. I didn't ask for a fight either. He just said, hey, I got your fight. I was like, what?
MMA fighter or jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, MMA fight.
Oh.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I got your fight. Are you scared? Man, what's the fight? He got me a fight on 3 days notice.
Yeah, of course. Of course he did. That's your mantra.
Yeah, clearly. He got me a fight on 3 days notice.
I think PFL should have the fight tomorrow.
At this point, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so
He got me
funny.
a fight on 3 days notice. I go out there, I supplicate, and I was like, oh wow, that was not bad. I should probably start training a little harder though, like if I'm gonna have more fights. Yeah.
Victory will do that to you.
Yeah.
When you get out there and all of a sudden,
Like wow,
oh, man.
it opens your eyes a little bit. Like whoa, I need to do more. I'm not doing enough. Like
And everyone's looking like, whoa, where's it? That's his first fight.
yeah.
And people are like, what?
Supplicate in 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh shit. Huh?
That's just amazing. What is family and friends at that point? What are family and friends like? Oh wow, are they excited or they don't know what's going on?
They're excited. Like at that time, I didn't tell anybody I was training. I just went to the gym. I would come home really tired. My mom would be like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Go to work, go train, and come back home. And then I was like, "Hey, I got a fight." They're like, "You got a fight?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a fight." And then they see that and they're like, "Oh wow, what's going on?"
With all the successes of the MMA and all, so now you're getting yourself into MMA around 2016-ish, 2015, 16, since that time and all. So it's already been put itself on the map. So when you're thinking about now a career in MMA, it's not like, oh wow, why is someone do? Because years ago it would be like, MMA, what's that? What's going on? Now we know it. So it's like, oh, that's pretty good. It's more accepted in a regard or in a realm.
Yeah.
So now you're going to do the MMA career and you're going that route. Did you have a plan B? Was there anything else you were going to try to do, or it was like, no, I'm going to do MMA and this is...
Actually, I started doing MMA when I got to college. So I have 2 degrees. One in,
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. See?
One in criminology and one in sociology.
Nice.
So that was actually...
How important was that for you?
Very important, actually, because I'm the first person in my family to get a degree. So, first person in my family to graduate college, first person in my family to graduate high school. Yeah. So it was just like...
Did you go to college down here?
I went to FAU.
Oh, right here in Boca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to FAU on a student athlete scholarship. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I was really focused on really focused on making sure like I got that degree, just to not really, even if I didn't use it, it was more so for me to set a standard. Like, hey, like I know college is for everybody, but I want you to at least see like the things that you can do potentially. Like for my little brother, my kid, I want them to see like, oh yeah, wow, I can actually do these things. Like this is like a standard.
The first
Yeah.
accomplishments, being the first, setting the
generation.
trail. That's what it is and all. That makes you proud, makes your family proud, makes everyone around you proud to be able to do that. Thing is, what hurts, not academically, athletically, because then you did well, high school you did well academically too. You're able to go on and do that. Wrestling is not, amateur wrestling is not something in the colleges in Florida. You gotta go elsewhere.
That's the reason why I didn't get to wrestle, because in college, because nobody took Florida wrestling serious. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll figure something else out and just use whatever skills I have and do something else, you know?
It is so hard because, well, you got kids from all over.
They actually changed that rule the year I graduated, 2015 or well, the year after I graduated, 2016. They changed that rule, and then they started actually looking at Florida as like an accredited state for wrestling because the athletic pool is so high here now. So it's like, why aren't we looking at these guys? These guys are good. They actually know what they're doing. So
the journey goes certain ways.
Yeah.
You take that path. If, let's say that was the case a while before, maybe you wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Maybe I wouldn't be sitting.
You know, we got going for the PFL, going for the $1 million, going for the championships. You never know how that road's going to lead. So for you now, of course, PFL championship and winning the $1 million is what's in front of you right now. Just what are your thoughts? Do you think about what happens for you or what you're going to do when you win the fight, or you don't look that far ahead?
I always look that far ahead. I always look at everything like I'm playing chess, almost. Like I try to be at least 2-3 moves ahead. Like what would I do next moving forward? I think the belt is more, not saying that the money isn't important, but I think the belt is the most important bargaining chip that you can have in any organization, major organization. And I think having the belt would be what I'd be able to use to capitalize moving forward myself, marketing-wise, and myself, like, financially, going anywhere else. If I were to leave PFL after the season, or if I were to go to the PFL next season, it would, like, drastically impact how I would be able to do things.
Thing is, you're a very good fighter.
Yeah.
You're a smart young man. I'm guessing that when it comes to money, that's something that you're not just buying this, buying that, that you're being smart with your money and all. So that, and which is so important as anybody, not just an athlete or entertainer, celebrity, no matter what walk of life and all. And how focused are you on that part of your life and just maintaining that so you're not squandering whatever you get?
Exactly, yeah. So it's more so me understanding what moves I need to make after. So that way, there's never an aspect of my life where I will ever go broke. That makes sense. Like, I already know what it's like to not have. So once I do have, I'm going to keep having. I'm going to keep making sure my family has. You know, there's no reason for me to have to regress over something stupid.
So important. I enjoyed our conversation. I want to thank you for the time. I want to wish you all the best in this upcoming fight and all. And a Viking, a dragon, an owl, the Postman,
yes, sir.
And I've got one for you, the Chessman.
The Chessman.
Yes! Yes! You don't have to change the Postman, but I'm just saying maybe that's a side one you could use because you're the strategist.
Yeah.
You're the chess. You're playing chess. You're the chessman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you much, Postman. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.